My mother was our church pianist. She was Juilliard trained, wasn't anything she couldn't play on the piano. Our house was full of the most beautiful church music. And then one morning at 5 a.m, she was making breakfast. She said, "Run, get your father." I ran out to the barns to get my dad, and when we came back, my mom was on the couch, writhing in pain. She couldn't stop shaking. She was bleeding terribly. Polio, spinal meningitis had come to our house. We called the ambulance, they came. I'll never forget what they told my dad. We said, "We'll do everything we can to get her to the hospital alive, but I don't think she'll make it." I thought, what are you talking about? That's my mother. When they took my mom out the door, I didn't realize I wouldn't see her for 2.5 years. For 2.5 years, she lived in an iron lung, couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Every night, we just lived for the phone call, is she alive? Finally, my sister and I got to see my mother. We couldn't be in her presence because of the contagion, but she was on one side of a glass wall, we were on the other. And there was a speaker that we could talk back and forth on. And when they brought my mother up, watching that machine breathe for her scared me. And then I heard my mother say, "Please turn my neck so I can see my children." And I got upset. I thought, Lord, you took her arms, you took her legs, she can't breathe. You could have left her neck. I don't know a better Christian than my mom. When the church doors were open, we were there. And when they turned her head, she writhed in pain. And the minute she turned her head, she could see me. And she said, "Don't you think that, son?" Now, right then, my mother could have crushed me for life. "Don't you think that, son?" "Don't think what, Mom?" She said, "Son, he's doing all things well. This isn't what I planned. I thought music was my life. But that's not going to be. He's doing all things well." And then she looked at me and she said, "I still have my joy." What does it take to crush out your joy? What does it take to make you start to gripe about what God's doing? Oh, listen, God makes us through our trials. And no man can take your joy. You have to surrender it up. Don't do that. I can still hear her saying that to me. "Son, he's doing all things well." The one nurse came by my sister and me and said, "Your mother can only sing when the iron lung lets her have breath. And all night long she sings hymns and prays for you kids. She's the only one here who does it." After another year, my mother got to come home, and a terrible thing happened. Our pastor came to see us, and he said, "Mrs. Gibbs, I know you've been through a lot, but your disease is very contagious, and the church took a vote, and we don't want you to come back. And you need to realize God's through with you." And as close as I ever came in my lifetime to hitting a pastor, I was often across the room to rearrange his dental work. I was furious. I thought, you may be right, but you're not going to talk to my mom that way. I can still hear my mom say, "Son, be seated. David, for me, please be seated." And my mom said, "I know I'm very damaged goods, Pastor, but I'm asking God to give me something to do for him. I still have breath." By the way, you'll know when God's through with you. You'll be looking at him. Don't you ever let anybody convince you that God's through with you. A new pastor came to town. He stopped just to pray with my mom. Nice young man. And he said, "Mrs. Gibbs, I know you've been through a lot. Can I pray for you?" And my mom said, "Preacher, there is. You can tell," and these were her words, "I'm very damaged goods. I can't dress myself. I can't feed myself. I'm very damaged goods. But I'm asking God to give me something to do for him. Anything, anything." And he said, "Well, let me pray about it." And he got down on his knees on our carpet, and he started praying. And he said, "Lord, this lady still wants to serve you. Give her something. She still has breath." And then he stopped mid-prayer and he said, "Miss Gibbs, we haven't started our church services yet. That's going to be another couple of weeks. We don't have a Sunday school yet, but we're going to have a Sunday school when we start the services. Could you, from that wheelchair strapped in it, do Sunday school?" My mom said, "I'd love to." He said, "Oh, you're the head of the Sunday school." I'm sitting there thinking, I don't believe this. My mom got so excited. She said, "Son, God never forgets you. And I've been asking him for something." And he told the pastor, he said, "Your Sunday school has 2 kids because I have 2. And I thought, oh, that's grim. I'll go to church the rest of my life with my sister. This'll never work. First Sunday we were there, my mom strapped in that wheelchair, couldn't hold her head up. Had to strap it up for her. She taught a Sunday school class. There were 1,000 kids sitting there. After a couple of weeks, she, at family devotion, said, we need to pray how to get more children to the Sunday school. And I have an idea. Your granddad with the meat trucks used to send the drivers out with the meat trucks and pick up kids and take them to Sunday school, and they called them the truck kids. And there's a big bus company in town that's got hundreds of buses. Let's go up there and ask them to give us a bus. I said, Mom, I don't think they give them away. I don't. She said, well, they'll have to. We have no money left. You see, my dad had promised them that if they took care of my mom, he'd pay every hospital bill, and he did. This is in the 50s, and he paid that hospital $3 million. He kept his word, but it took everything they had. My mom said, I want you to take me up by the bus company, David. We're going to go get a bus. We went up there, and there were buses everywhere. And I said, Mom, now just don't be disappointed. She said, I'm not going to be disappointed. God's going to give us a bus. Faith is the substance of things, what? Hoped for. When's the last time you exercised your hope button for God? I was getting my mom out of the car into her wheelchair, and it's a snowy, icy day, and inadvertently my mom slipped through my hands and crashed down on the ice. I fell down on top of her. When she hit the ice, she screamed and I screamed. We're both on the ground crying. I said, Mom, let's go home. If God was in this, he wouldn't let me drop you. She said, no, God is in this. Just because we have trouble doesn't mean God's not helping. She said, now don't move me. I'll pass out. We had to lay there for probably 20, 30 minutes before I could move her. Finally, I got her up in her wheelchair and we went in. Nice young lady at the reception desk. And my mom said, we've come so you can give us a bus. We got to get kids to Sunday school. The lady at the desk said, well, I don't think they've ever done that here before, but there's a first time for everything. Let me call the vice president down here. She called the guy on the speaker. You could hear him. There's a lady down here wants you to give her a bus to take kids to Sunday school. He said, tell her no, we've never done it before and we're not doing it today. Tell her to leave. That little girl said, you tell her she's in a wheelchair. Here he come. He came down and said, lady, we've never done this. We're not going to start with you. My mom said, well, do you own the buses? He said, no, the president owns the buses. My mom said, well, you can't give them to me. They're not yours. I got to talk to the man who owns the buses. And I thought, boy, that's good, Mom. I like that. That man said, the president's not going to see. And that quick, that little girl called him again. And here he come, the guy that owns the whole thing. My mom said, I need for you to give me buses so we can get kids saved and get them to Sunday school. He said, lady, let me tell you why I'm down here. Your son dropped you getting out of that car. You parked right under my office window 3 stories up. I watched you fall. I watched you cry. I have never seen a bus matter that much to anybody. I don't know what to do with you. My mom said, well, I can only tell you one thing. He said, what? She said, if you don't give me a bus, God's going to be awfully upset with you. I thought, boy, lighten up, Mom. He said, well, if I give you a bus, who will drive it? My mom said, I hadn't thought of that. I need a bus and a driver. He said, lady, I'm going to give it to you. 1 bus, 1 driver, 1 week. That's it. 1 week. I thought, Mom, you got a bus. Wow. My mom said, oh, thank you, but there's 2 sides to our town, east and west. I really need 2 buses. You know what he said? Okay, 2 buses, 2 drivers, 1 week. And that's all he did. 2 buses, 2 drivers, 1 week. Because the second week he gave her 3 buses. By the end of the month, he was giving her 5 buses. By the end of the year, he was giving her 55 buses. And within 2 years, he was giving her 150 buses and 150 drivers every week. And the lady who had a Sunday school with no kids in it had 4,000 to 5,000 children in it every Sunday. Because someone said, God, use me. Music is my life, and that's gone. But by your grace, by your power, God, use me. Wow. My mom went to the city and said, I want you to let anybody going to church anywhere ride a city bus for free. And the city president said, no, we've never done that. And the man that owned the bus company stood up and said, you better give it to her. She's going to ask for more. He said, this lady carries a passion for those children. How's your passion? The trial of your faith is much more precious than gold. Much more. When my mom went home to be with the Lord, the doctors said, she has nothing that works, nothing. She outlived everybody that had polio with her by 30 years. But she had something. And the doctors at her funeral said, we want it. Would anybody want what's in you? It's called the Holy Spirit of God. And God wants to use you. But you gotta have joy, and you gotta value being used by faith.